1. Control what you can. Accept what you can't. Asterisk. What if it's not the world, but how you see it, that makes you suffer? Every morning, millions of people wake up already defeated. Not because something catastrophic happened. Not because their lives are objectively falling apart. But because in their mind, they're already drowning in what-if should-haves and worst-case scenarios. A rude message from a coworker ruins their day. Traffic derails their mood. An unexpected bill sends them spiraling. And if you ask them why they're upset, they'll say something like, "I'm upset because my boss snapped at me. I'm stressed because my partner isn't texting back. I'm anxious because the economy is collapsing." But here's what the Stoics, those battle-hardened philosophers of ancient Rome, would ask in response. Are you really upset? Because of the event, or because of how you interpreted it? This question isn't just philosophical. It's liberating, because what if the problem isn't the event itself, but the story you told yourself about the event? Perception is everything. Imagine this. You're walking to your car. Out of nowhere, it starts raining heavily. You're soaked. The bag with your lunch breaks open. You're late for a meeting. Some people would throw their hands in the air, curse the sky, and declare it the worst day ever. Others would laugh, jog to the car, and think, well, that's one way to wake up. Same rain, same soaked shoes. Completely different experience. Why? Because how we interpret events, not the events themselves, determines how we feel. Is the foundational Stoic insight. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and the most powerful man in the world at the time, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." He didn't say this from an ivory tower. He said it while waging wars, losing children, and battling illness. He lived in a storm, and yet, he built calm from within. You can't control the world, but you can control your reaction. Let's be clear. The world will throw chaos at you. You can't stop people from disappointing you. You can't control the news cycle, traffic jams, or sudden illnesses. You can't predict recessions, betrayals, or natural disasters. But here's what you can always control. How you interpret what happens, how you respond, what story you choose to tell yourself. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, put it bluntly. We are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments about them. You might be thinking, that's easier said than done. And you'd be right. But the goal of Stoicism isn't to instantly master your emotions. It's to train yourself every day to pause before you react, to examine your judgments, and to respond with clarity, not chaos. The danger of misplaced control. Let's say you're launching a new business. You pour your heart into it. You obsess over the product, the pitch, the launch. You stay up late rehearsing your investor calls. But when the day comes, the investor says no. Now what? If your peace of mind was tied to that, yes, you collapse. Your self-worth is shattered. You blame yourself or the world for not cooperating with your plan. But the Stoic response would be different. They'd ask, did you do your part with discipline and excellence? Were your actions aligned with your values and effort? If yes, then you succeeded, regardless of the outcome, because your job was never to control the result. Your job was to control your actions, thoughts, and attitude. Seneca put it beautifully. A wise person does not grieve over things they cannot control, but rejoices in the actions they can take. When you shift your attention away from results and toward effort, you reclaim your power. The two circles. A Stoic exercise here. As a simple exercise that could change your life. Draw two circles. In the first circle, write everything you can control. Your beliefs, your mindset, your habits, your reactions, your words, your choices. In the second circle, Write everything outside your control. The past, other people's opinions, the weather, political events, your genetic makeup, the stock market now. Focus your energy only on the first circle. Sounds obvious, right? But most people spend 90% of their mental energy worrying about things in the second circle. They argue online about politics they can't change. They obsess over what someone else might be thinking. They stress about every possible future scenario. No wonder they feel powerless. Peace begins the moment you stop obsessing over what you can't control. Rewriting your inner dialogue next time you feel overwhelmed. Do this. Pause, take a deep breath. Buy yourself a moment of space between stimulus and response. Ask, is this in my control? Reframe. If the answer is no, say, I release this, it's not mine to carry. If the answer is yes, say, then I'll respond with intention. Over time, this practice rewires your emotional reflexes. You'll stop spiraling. You'll start anchoring. You'll stop reacting to life like a leaf in the wind, and start navigating it like a captain steering through a storm. Real-life application. The Stoic at the DMV is a practical, everyday example. You're waiting at the DMV. It's crowded, slow, frustrating. A woman nearby is sighing loudly, rolling her eyes, muttering insults. She's pacing, anxious, obviously miserable. Now look at yourself. You've brought a book. You sip coffee. You accept that waiting is part of the deal. You're not happy about it. But you're not suffering that same environment. Same conditions, that different internal world. That's the Stoic difference. What control brings you. So what happens when you really embrace this principle? You become untouchable. Not because you don't feel things, but because you don't let external chaos steal your inner calm. You become less reactive, less rattled by opinions, less swayed by every rise and fall of life. You stop chasing control where there is none, and you start mastering the only thing that was ever yours, yourself. And that's real power. Final thought. The modern world tells you to be a control freak, to micromanage everything, to manifest every outcome, to optimize, plan, and hustle until life obeys your script. But Stoicism whispers something quieter, truer. You don't need the world to change for you to feel peace. You only need to change the lens you see it through. You can't control the rain, but you can carry an umbrella. Or better yet, learn to dance in the storm. 2. Practice voluntary discomfort. You don't become strong by avoiding pain. You become strong by walking into it, on purpose. Let's be honest. Modern life is engineered for comfort. We have climate-controlled rooms, food delivered to our doorsteps, instant entertainment in our pockets, and apps that solve problems before we even feel them. And yet, we're more anxious than ever, more fragile, more emotionally brittle. Why? Because we've mistaken comfort for safety and ease for strength. We live in a world where pain is outsourced, struggle is avoided, and hardship is outsourced to machines or less fortunate people. But the cost of all this convenience is hidden. It's your resilience. Why discomfort is a superpower. The Stoics believe that the path to true inner strength lies not in comfort, but in voluntarily embracing discomfort. Not because they were masochists, not because they didn't like pleasure, but because they knew that unearned comfort leads to spiritual weakness. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, deliberately slept on the floor some nights. He wore rough clothing and ate cheap food by choice. Why? Set aside a certain number of days, he wrote, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, is this the condition that I feared? He wasn't torturing himself. He was training himself. What is voluntary discomfort? It's exactly what it sounds like. You intentionally expose yourself to minor hardships, even when you don't have to. You choose the harder path, not for punishment, but for practice. Examples include taking cold showers, fasting for a day, walking instead of driving, waking up earlier than you'd like, exercising until it burns, saying no to temptations, just to prove you can. These aren't acts of suffering. They're acts of fortification. Each one sends a message to your brain. I'm not afraid of discomfort. I can handle more than I think. Why it works? Think about this. If you've never gone hungry, then the first time your fridge is empty, you panic. If you've never pushed yourself physically, then a minor illness or injury feels catastrophic. If you've never gone without your phone or social media, then boredom becomes unbearable. But if you've trained in small, controlled ways to go without, then when life actually throws pain at you, you're ready. You're not surprised. You're not overwhelmed. You're calm, because you've already met the dragon in training, and it wasn't so scary after all. The problem with constant comfort, here's the uncomfortable truth. Comfort is addictive. And like any addiction, it dulls your senses and shrinks your soul. Every time you avoid difficulty, you teach your brain, I can't handle this. I need to escape. So you scroll, you binge, you shop, you distract. And over time your tolerance for real life, real unpredictability, real pain, real effort starts to disappear. You become emotionally allergic to anything unpleasant. Your threshold for frustration drops to 0. And when a real crisis hits, you collapse. A modern-day Seneca, let's say you're financially stable. You've got a good job. You've built some savings. Life's pretty smooth, but you decide once a month to live like you're broke. You eat rice and beans. You walk everywhere. You wear your old hoodie and skip the Uber. You say no to luxury for 48 hours. What are you doing? You're reminding yourself, if I lost everything tomorrow, I'd still be okay. You're destroying the illusion that comfort is necessary. You're breaking the chains of dependency. That's not poverty. That's power. Psychological benefits. Voluntary discomfort isn't just physical, it's mental. And the benefits are enormous. You increase your threshold for pain. Cold showers suck at first, but eventually you stop flinching. That's neuroplasticity. Your brain literally adapts to stress. You reduce your fear of loss. When you practice having less, you realize you're not defined by your stuff. That's freedom. You build self-discipline. Doing what's hard on purpose builds grit. You become someone who follows through, even when it's inconvenient. You enhance gratitude. After a day of fasting, that simple meal tastes divine. You remember what it means to truly appreciate. You grow spiritually. Each challenge becomes a ritual, a reminder that you are not your impulses. You are the master, not the slave of your desires. The Stoic mental model. Train like it's war. The Stoics lived in a brutal, unpredictable world. Plagues, wars, banishments, sudden deaths, they faced it all. And they knew that if you waited until a crisis to become resilient, it would already be too late. So they trained. Every day, they practiced discomfort like a soldier practices combat. They imagined loss before it happened. They fasted even while feasts were available. They tested their limits, not to break, but to bend. And when the storm came, they were unshaken. Voluntary discomfort in the digital age. In today's world, voluntary discomfort might look different than in ancient Rome, but the principle is the same. Want to practice like a modern Stoic? Try this. Digital fasts. Go one full day without your phone. Rejection therapy. Ask for something you know you might not get. Face discomfort head on. Hard conversations. Say the truth when it's awkward. Speak your needs. Set boundaries. Financial fasting. Take a no-spend week. Use what you already have. Practice contentment. None of these will kill you, but all of them will make you stronger. Discomfort versus suffering now. Don't confuse this practice with martyrdom or self-punishment. Stoicism isn't about suffering for suffering's sake. It's about building your capacity to suffer well, so that when real hardship arrives, and it will, you don't fall apart. We must undergo a hard winter training, said Epictetus, and not rush into things for which we haven't prepared. Voluntary discomfort is that winter training, and it's better to sweat in practice than to bleed in battle. Final reflection: you don't get mentally tough by staying warm, well-fed, and comfortable every second of the day. You get tough by putting yourself in the cold on purpose, so that when life pushes you, you've already learned how to push back. Voluntary discomfort is not a rejection of pleasure. It's a refinement of your relationship with it. It says, I enjoy the good, but I don't need it. I welcome the hard, not because I like pain, but because I know pain shapes me. I want strength, not sedation. And in a world addicted to comfort, that mindset alone is revolutionary. 3. Embrace change. You can't step into the same river twice, because both you and the river have changed. Most people don't hate change. They hate losing control. We like things predictable, familiar, safe. We like knowing where we're headed, how long it'll take, and what's waiting at the end. But here's the problem. Life doesn't care about your plans. Your dream job might ghost you. Your relationship might end unexpectedly. Your health might change overnight. A market crash, a new diagnosis, an unexpected call change never asks for permission. And the more you resist it, the more painful it becomes. The illusion of permanence. We all secretly want things to stay the same. We want people to always love us. We want our body to stay strong. We want our routines to stay smooth. We want our good luck to keep rolling. But Stoicism and life reminds us, everything is temporary. Everything. Your youth, your job, your comfort, even the people you love. And when you cling to the illusion that anything is permanent, you set yourself up for heartbreak. Why change feels so threatening? Change threatens identity. Who you are is often based on roles. I'm a student. I'm a partner. I'm a professional. I'm in control. But when change disrupts those roles, you're forced to ask, who am I? If not this? That's why breakups, job losses, and big life transitions feel like ego deaths. And unless you've trained yourself to be flexible mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you'll resist change like it's an enemy. The Stoic mindset. Amor fati. One of the most beautiful concepts in Stoic thought is amor fati, the love of fate. Not tolerance of fate. Not reluctant acceptance. Love. It means embracing everything that happens, good or bad, as if you had chosen it. Lost your job? Amor fati. Got dumped? Amor fati. Plans got ruined? Amor fati. It's not about being naive or blindly positive. It's about saying, I didn't want this, but since it's here, I'll use it. Since I can't change it, I'll let it change me in the best way possible. How resisting change hurts you. Let's take a common example. You're in a relationship that's clearly ended, but you hang on for months, maybe years. Why? You don't want to feel alone. You don't want to start over. You don't want to change your identity. But that resistance doesn't protect you. It prolongs the pain. You don't avoid heartbreak, you stretch it out. You don't preserve happiness, you block new happiness from coming in. Change will come, with or without your permission. You get to choose whether it transforms you or breaks you. The art of surrendering acceptance is not weakness. It's wisdom. When the Stoics say, accept change, They don't mean lie down and take whatever life throws at you without action. They mean stop fighting reality, grieve the loss, mourn the change. Feel it fully, then rise. Not by pretending nothing changed, but by choosing to grow with it. You're not letting go because you gave up. You're letting go because you realize holding on is hurting you. Mindfulness and change. One of the best tools for embracing change is mindfulness, the practice of anchoring yourself in the present moment. When you're stuck in the past, you'll feel regret. When you're fixated on the future, you'll feel anxiety. But right now you're just breathing. When everything around you is shifting, your thoughts, your status, your plans, mindfulness gives you something solid to stand on. You say, things are changing, but I don't need to panic. This too is part of the process. I can flow with it. Practical ways to train for change. You don't have to wait for life to smack you with a crisis to practice flexibility. Try this. Do something unfamiliar once a week. Drive a new route. Try a cuisine you've never had. Talk to a stranger. Build your tolerance for unpredictability. Stop labeling changes as good or bad. Instead of judging a shift in your life, get curious about it. Ask, what might this be teaching me? Reflect on past changes. Write about a time when something fell apart, but later opened new doors. This helps remind you that change isn't just destruction, it's evolution. Simplify. The less you cling to, the less painful change becomes. Declutter your home, your schedule, your expectations. A real-life story. The teacher who lost her voice. A woman in her 40s, a beloved drama teacher, developed a rare throat condition that left her unable to speak above a whisper. Her identity was shattered. Her voice was her life, her career, her passion. For months she grieved. She resisted. Then one day she made a decision. If she couldn't teach with her voice, she'd teach with her writing. She started a blog. She shared her story. She mentored students through email. Eventually, she became an award-winning writer. Her life changed, but her purpose didn't. She just found a new form for it. That's what embracing change looks like. The metaphor of the tree. You are a tree. Storms will come, winds will howl, seasons will change. If you're rigid, you'll snap. If you're flexible, you'll sway and survive. Your strength isn't in resisting the wind. It's in learning how to move with it without losing your roots. What happens when you embrace change? When you stop fearing change, you stop clinging to what no longer serves you. You become more creative and open to new paths. You feel less anxious when plans fall apart. You deepen your self-trust because you've seen yourself adapt. You realize you're not defined by any one chapter of your life. You're the author, and you get to write the next one. Final reflection. The Stoics knew what modern psychology now confirms. Resisting reality is the root of suffering. You don't have to love every change that happens to you, but you can love the process of transformation. That's what amor fati really means. It's standing in the middle of the storm and saying, I don't know what this change means yet, but I trust that if I stay present, if I stay grounded, it will become something meaningful. Change is not the end of your story. It's just the next chapter. 4. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easier than ever to feel like you're not enough. Scroll through social media for 5 minutes and you'll see someone with a better job, a bigger house, a prettier face, a happier relationship, or a seemingly perfect life. You might not even realize it's happening, but that little voice inside your head starts whispering, why don't I have that? What's wrong with me? When is it going to be my turn? That, right there, is the birth of discontent. And it happens every single day, over and over again. Unless you actively choose to see the world through a different lens. The lens of gratitude. Why we struggle with gratitude. Gratitude seems simple, right? Say thank you, be polite. Appreciate the little things. But genuine gratitude, the kind that transforms your mindset and fortifies your spirit, is not just about good manners. It's about rewiring your brain to stop chasing what's missing and start cherishing what's already here. The problem is, our minds are evolutionarily wired for survival, not satisfaction. Your brain is designed to scan for threats and deficiencies. It's constantly looking for what's wrong, what's lacking, what's next. This was useful when humans were running from predators or scavenging for food. But now, it leaves us anxious, restless, and blind to the good things we already have. Stoic perspective on gratitude. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience ever caught up. They believed that true wealth comes not from having more, but from wanting less. If you are not content with what you have, said Seneca, no amount of wealth will satisfy you. Gratitude, then, is not a passive emotion. It's a discipline and active, daily practice of noticing the blessings in your life, and not just the obvious ones like love, food, and shelter, but the subtle ones too. The breath in your lungs, the body that moves you through the world, the people who care about you, even the challenges that shaped you. Stoics believe that by consciously appreciating these things, you could build an inner fortress of joy that no external force could destroy. Practicing negative visualization, one of the most powerful Stoic techniques for cultivating gratitude, is a practice called negative visualization. Here's how it works. You imagine losing the very things you love the most. Your job, your home, your partner, your health. You don't do this to torture yourself. You do it to wake yourself up. Because right now, you're surrounded by gifts you've started to take for granted. And imagining their absence reminds you of their value. Don't just say you love your child, Epictetus wrote, but imagine he might die tomorrow and then act accordingly today. This isn't morbid. It's liberating. When you realize how temporary everything is, you start savoring it more. You hug tighter. You laugh louder. You show up more fully. You stop waiting for someday to feel joy, and you choose it now. Gratitude as armor. Gratitude is more than just warm fuzzy. That it's emotional armor. It shields you from jealousy, resentment, and despair. When life gets hard, and it will, gratitude is what keeps you grounded. When someone else gets what you wanted, gratitude helps you celebrate them instead of resenting them. When you experience loss, gratitude helps you honor what was instead of being destroyed by what's gone. In this way, gratitude doesn't just soften you, it strengthens you. It gives you perspective. It expands your emotional bandwidth. It makes you more resilient. The science backs it up. This isn't just Stoic wisdom. Modern psychology has a lot to say about gratitude too. Studies show that people who practice gratitude regularly experience lower levels of anxiety and depression, improved sleep, stronger relationships, greater life satisfaction, enhanced immune function. In one study, people who kept a daily gratitude journal reported a 25% increase in happiness after just 10 weeks. Think about that. No drugs, no therapy. Just writing down what you're thankful for, and your brain chemistry literally shifts. How to practice gratitude like a Stoic. Here are some practical, Stoic-inspired ways to make gratitude a cornerstone of your daily life. 1. Keep a gratitude journal every evening. Write down 3 to 5 things you were grateful for that day. Big or small, doesn't matter. What matters is consistency. Over time, this retrains your brain to look for the good instead of scanning for what's missing. 2. Start your day with thank you before you check your phone. Before your feet hit the floor, say thank you out loud for anything, for waking up, for your breath, for the roof over your head. Start your day rooted in enoughness. 3. Use triggers. Link gratitude to daily habits. Say thank you before meals. Be grateful for hot water when you shower. Pause at red lights and reflect on something beautiful. Turn your routine into a ritual. 4. Tell people what you appreciate. Gratitude deepens relationships. Text a friend just to say, "Hey, I'm grateful for you." Leave a note for your partner. Thank your barista by name. These small gestures ripple out more than you know. 5. Reflect on past pain. Think about a hardship you survived. Now ask, what did it teach me? How did it shape me? Gratitude isn't just for good things. It's also about appreciating the growth that comes from struggle. What gratitude is not, let's clear up a few myths. Gratitude is not pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's not minimizing your pain. It's not guilt-tripping yourself with thoughts like, others have it worse. Gratitude is the courage to say, even though this is hard, there's still beauty here. Even though I'm hurting, I'm still lucky in many ways. Even though I've lost, I've also gained. It's not spiritual bypassing. It's spiritual anchoring. Gratitude versus consumer culture. We live in a society that constantly tells you, you're not enough. You don't have enough. And you'll only be happy when you get more. Gratitude is a rebellion against that narrative. It's flipping the script and saying, actually, I'm already rich. Rich in time, rich in friends, rich in breath, sight, sound, and soul. And when you operate from that space, you make better decisions. You stop chasing the wrong things. You stop competing in someone else's race. You find peace. Final reflection. Gratitude won't solve every problem, but it will change the way you experience them. It turns scarcity into sufficiency, stress into softness, fear into freedom. You don't need a perfect life to feel grateful. You just need clearer eyes. Every moment is a gift. Every breath is a blessing. And every day you wake up with a chance to notice, that's enough. 5. Differentiate between opinion and fact. Asterisk, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Epictetus. Let's get honest for a second. How many times have you completely lost your cool over something that wasn't even real? Maybe someone looked at you the wrong way, and your mind spiraled. They must hate me. What did I do wrong? Did I mess something up? Or maybe you got passed over for a promotion and immediately assumed, I'm not good enough. They don't respect me. This always happens to me. Here's the truth. It wasn't the situation that hurt you. It was your interpretation of the situation. And that's the trap the Stoics desperately wanted us to avoid. The power of perception. Epictetus said it best. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. You're not upset because someone criticized you. You're upset because you interpreted that criticism as an attack on your worth. You're not scared of change itself. You're scared of what you believe that change means. You're not anxious because you failed. You're anxious because you decided that failure defines you. This is what the Stoics mean when they talk about separating opinion from fact. Because here's the thing, facts are neutral. But opinions, especially the ones we whisper to ourselves, can be brutal. What is a fact? Let's define it clearly. A fact is an observable event or condition. Something that can be proven true, independent of how you feel about it. Examples. My flight was delayed. My friend hasn't responded to my message in 24 hours. My boss asked to see me after lunch. Now notice how quickly those facts spiral into opinions. This always happens to me. They're ignoring me. I'm probably in trouble. None of those are facts. They're stories your mind creates to fill in the gaps, and those stories shape your emotions. The cycle of emotional distortion, here's how it usually goes. Something happens. You immediately form an opinion about it. That opinion triggers an emotion. You act based on the emotion. You suffer the consequences, even though it all started with a guess. The Stoics urge us to break this cycle, to slow down, to question our thoughts, to ask, is this actually true? Or is it just how I feel right now? A modern-day example, imagine this. You walk into a meeting and your coworker doesn't greet you, doesn't even look up. Instant reaction? They're mad at me. Did I do something wrong? They're so rude. Emotion, anxiety, annoyance, insecurity. You leave the meeting feeling off, maybe even passive-aggressive. But what if you challenge that opinion? What if the fact was simply, my coworker didn't say hi? That's it. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they didn't see you. Maybe they're just introverted. You don't know. You assumed, and that assumption altered your whole emotional experience. This is why the Stoics put such emphasis on learning to separate the event from the story we attach to it. The practice of cognitive distancing, modern psychologists call this cognitive distancing, stepping back from your thoughts and observing them without immediately believing them. The Stoics did this too, just in different words. They taught us to mentally pause and say, hold on. That's just one interpretation. This pause gives you power. It gives you choice. You're no longer at the mercy of your automatic reactions. You can think clearly, respond wisely, and protect your peace. How to practice this daily? Here are 5 simple tools to help you live this Stoic principle. 1. Label the thought when you catch yourself spiraling. Say out loud or in your head, that's a story. That's an opinion, not a fact. This short circuit disrupts the emotional autopilot. 2. Write it down. Grab a piece of paper. Divide it into 2 columns. On the left, facts. On the right, opinions. Example. Fact: opinion, my partner hasn't texted me today. They're losing interest in me. I got a B on my exam. I'm a failure. My friend canceled lunch. They don't value our friendship anymore. Seeing it laid out like this can be incredibly clarifying. 3. Ask, what else could be true? Instead of assuming the worst, get curious. Ask, what's another reason this might be happening? What would a neutral observer say about this? Opening your mind to multiple interpretations weakens the grip of the negative one. 4. Replace I am with I feel. Instead of I am a loser, say, I feel disappointed right now. Language matters. Facts describe reality. Feelings describe your current state. When you shift from identity to emotion, you give yourself space to change. 5. Return to the present. Most distorted opinions are projections into the past or future. Right now you're just sitting here, breathing. Ask, in this moment, what's actually true? Why this matters? Your emotions are real, but the stories driving them, often fiction. If you never learn to question those stories, you'll live in a prison of your own thoughts. You'll overreact. You'll misjudge others. You'll catastrophize harmless events. Worst of all, you'll waste years of your life believing lies your brain told you when it was scared. But when you learn to step back, when you sharpen the ability to say, that's not a fact, it's just my belief, you reclaim your freedom. The social media trap in the digital age. This principle is more important than ever. We are flooded with opinions, comments, tweets, headlines, reviews, hot takes, and it's tempting to confuse popular opinion with truth. But Stoicism reminds us, Just because something is widely believed doesn't make it true. And just because someone says something with confidence doesn't mean it's wise. Filter every message you receive through the Stoic lens. Is it a fact? Or someone's perspective, shaped by their own fears, desires, and filters? Only the first one deserves your peace. Final reflection: you can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can choose which ones you give power to. Not everything you feel is fact. Not every opinion deserves a reaction. Not every interpretation needs to be believed. The Stoic path is one of clarity, of discernment, of gently but firmly untangling the truth from the noise. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, misunderstood, or triggered, ask yourself, what's the actual event here? And what's just the story I'm telling about it? That question alone could save you from hours, maybe years of unnecessary suffering. 6. Practice voluntary discomfort. Asterisk. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Asking yourself all the while, is this the condition I feared? Seneca, let's be honest, most of us are addicted to comfort. We like soft beds, warm showers, air conditioning, food delivery, and fast internet. We work hard not just to succeed, but to insulate ourselves from inconvenience, pain, and discomfort of any kind. And hey, there's nothing wrong with enjoying life's comforts. But what happens when they become a crutch? What happens when you've built your entire sense of happiness around being comfortable, and then life inevitably gets uncomfortable? That's when the panic sets in, the anxiety, the helplessness. The Stoics believe that discomfort, especially when chosen voluntarily, is not just tolerable. It's essential. It's a training ground for resilience, strength, and freedom. The illusion of safety. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Comfort does not equal safety. In fact, constantly chasing comfort can make you weaker, because comfort over time becomes dependence. You begin to fear anything that threatens it. A cold morning, a tough workout, financial insecurity, emotional vulnerability, failure, criticism, uncertainty. And when you fear discomfort, you fear life itself. Because life is discomfort. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Relationships are uncomfortable. Honesty is uncomfortable. So if your goal is to be comfortable all the time, you've already lost. You've chosen stagnation over strength, numbness over aliveness, ease over excellence. The Stoics knew this. That's why they intentionally practice discomfort, not to suffer, but to prepare. The Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort. Seneca, the Roman philosopher and statesman, was a wealthy man. But he regularly chose to sleep on the ground, wear rough clothes, and eat only the simplest food. Not because he needed to, because he wanted to remind himself, if everything was taken from me tomorrow, would I survive? Would I crumble? Or would I adapt? His answer: practice. So that when misfortune comes, and it will, you won't be caught off guard. You'll already know, I've been here before. I can handle this. This is not the end of me. That's the power of voluntary discomfort, that it removes the fear of hardship by making it familiar. Why choose discomfort? Let's be clear. The Stoics weren't masochists. They didn't seek suffering for the sake of suffering. They saw discomfort as a tool. Here's what it builds. 1. Resilience. You learn how to push through when things are hard. 2. Gratitude. You appreciate comfort more because you remember what its absence feels like. 3. Discipline. You strengthen your willpower by choosing what's difficult. 4. Clarity. You realize how little you actually need to be okay. Discomfort reveals the strength that's been hiding in you all along. Modern forms of voluntary discomfort. You don't have to sleep in a cave to practice like a Stoic. There are countless small ways to step into discomfort. 1. Cold. Showers, yes, they suck. That's the point. You learn to breathe through discomfort, to stay instead of flee. A cold shower in the morning can make traffic, emails, and rude coworkers seem a lot less intense. 2. Fasting, skip a meal now and then. Spend a day without food. With medical approval, of course. You'll realize how often you eat out of habit, not hunger. And you'll learn that hunger, while uncomfortable, isn't deadly. Fasting builds both patience and self-awareness. 3. Physical training, exercise. Is voluntary hardship. Lifting something heavy. Pushing your heart rate. Doing one more rep. It's a form of self-imposed struggle. You're literally conditioning your body and mind to become stronger through stress. 4. Digital detox, spend a day without your phone. No scrolling. No texts, no dopamine buffet. Sit with the boredom, with the stillness, with yourself. You might be shocked by how addicted you are, and how free you feel once you break the loop. 5. Say no or yes. When it's hard, say no to something out of alignment. Say yes to something that scares you. Both actions will stretch your comfort zone. Emotional discomfort is just as powerful as physical. 6. Public speaking or sharing your truth. Speak up in a meeting. Post something honest. Tell someone how you really feel. The fear of judgment is one of the most common forms of discomfort, and one of the most transformational to overcome. Rewiring the brain. Every time you choose discomfort voluntarily, you rewire your brain to yourself. I can survive this. This isn't as bad as I thought. I'm stronger than my fear. Over time, your baseline for what's hard shifts. You become more grounded, less reactive, and more capable under pressure. That's resilience, not built in theory, but forged in experience. What happens when you don't practice discomfort? Let's imagine the alternative. You avoid pain. You run from conflict. You numb every uncomfortable feeling with food, TV, or distraction. What happens? You get softer. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You become fragile. Every minor inconvenience feels like a crisis. Every challenge feels like a threat. Every failure feels like the end of the world. Comfort becomes your prison. And when real adversity strikes, as it always does, you're unprepared. This is exactly what the Stoics wanted to prevent. They didn't want you to suffer. They wanted you to train to get comfortable being uncomfortable, so that when storms come, you don't break, you bend. A Stoic thought experiment. Try this. Ask yourself, right now, what do I fear losing the most? What would life look like if I had to live with less? How would I adapt if everything changed tomorrow? Then, simulate it. Not forever. Not recklessly. Just for a day or two. If you fear financial insecurity, live on a tiny budget for a weekend. If you fear loneliness, spend an afternoon in complete solitude. No phone, no conversation. If you fear discomfort, intentionally do something hard. Something that makes your stomach twist. And then observe, did it kill me? Or did it free me? Because often, what we fear most isn't fatal, it's just foreign. Once you've experienced it, it loses its power over you. Make discomfort a habit. Voluntary discomfort isn't a one-time stunt, it's a practice like meditation, journaling, or exercise. Here's how to make it part of your life. Start small. One discomfort a week is enough. Schedule it. Put it on your calendar like an appointment. Reflect afterward. Ask, what did I learn about myself? Celebrate it. Discomfort faced is courage gained. Over time, these moments compound. You become less reactive, more grounded, more courageous. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Final reflection. In a world obsessed with comfort, Choosing discomfort is a revolutionary act. It's a declaration that you don't need to be coddled to thrive, that you trust yourself to endure, that your peace isn't built on ease, it's built on inner strength. So the next time you find yourself avoiding something hard, ask, what if I leaned into this instead of away from it? What if discomfort is the doorway to my freedom? Because it is not every difficult thing you do on purpose is a seed of resilience. And one day, when life throws something truly hard your way, you'll be ready. Not because you hoped for ease, but because you trained for strength. 7. Reflect on mortality, memento mori. Asterisk, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. Let's begin with something most people don't want to think about. You're going to die. And you have no idea when. It could be 50 years from now, or 5 days. It could come slowly, like a dusk falling over your life. Or it could arrive suddenly, without warning, without mercy. Most people recoil at this truth. They call it morbid, depressing, dark. But to the Stoics, memento mori, the reflection on mortality, wasn't a threat. It was a source of power. What is memento mori? Memento mori means, remember you must die. It wasn't a death wish. It was a life anchor. A daily reminder that time is short, and that wasting it is the real tragedy. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, regularly reflected on death. They didn't do this to be gloomy. They did it because they understood a vital truth. Only by facing death can we learn to truly live. When you realize you're not promised another breath, you stop taking your time for granted. You stop putting off what matters. You stop wasting energy on things that mean nothing. Why we avoid thinking about death. We live in a culture obsessed with youth and comfort. Aging is hidden. Death is sanitized. We fill our lives with distraction, so we never have to sit quietly and ask ourselves the terrifying question, what if this is it? But avoiding death doesn't make it go away. It just makes us live smaller, shallower, less meaningful lives. Because here's the paradox. The more you fear death, the more you cling to routines, to grudges, to perfection, to status, and clinging is suffering. But when you embrace the reality of your mortality, you become free. Free to be honest, free to be bold, free to be present. Because if this is your last day, why waste it pretending? The Stoic attitude toward death. The Stoics believed that death is natural, and fearing it is irrational. Epictetus put it bluntly, death is nothing dreadful. It is the judgment we place upon it that is dreadful. To them, death wasn't a punishment. It was part of the contract of life. Just like you were born without asking, you'll die without choosing. So why let it scare you? Why let it paralyze your actions or mute your voice? To the Stoic, death wasn't something to resist, it was something to prepare for. Not out of fear, but out of respect, living with death in mind. So, how do we reflect on death in a way that makes life more vivid, not more miserable? Here are 7 ways the Stoics practiced memento mori in daily life. 1. Start the day with the end in mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, you could leave life right now. Not to be edgy, but to keep himself humble, focused, and grateful. Try this tomorrow morning. Before you check your phone, pause and say to yourself, if this were my last day alive, how would I live it differently? Suddenly, the petty annoyances fade. You stop arguing just to win. You stop scrolling aimlessly. You start making choices with intention. 2. Cut out the non-essential. Time is your most precious resource, and death is the ultimate deadline. When you understand that, you begin to eliminate the unnecessary. Seneca said it best, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. So ask yourself, Why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? Does this truly matter, or am I just avoiding what does? When death is at your side, clarity is in your hand. 3. Let go of grudges and pettiness. How many hours have you wasted replaying old arguments? Holding on to resentment like it's some badge of honor? When you remember that both you and the person who wronged you will die, things shift. Grudges seem childish. Fights seem trivial. Ego becomes dead weight. Ask yourself, if I died tomorrow, would this still matter? If not, drop it. Walk lighter. 4. Speak the unspoken. Most people die with words still stuck inside them. I love you, I'm sorry, thank you, I forgive you. Why? Because we assume there will be time, but sometimes there isn't. Reflecting on death reminds you, the window to express your truth is now. Don't wait. Say what needs to be said. Write the letter. Make the call. Tell people what they mean to you. Do it because you're alive. Do it because one day you won't be. 5. Take creative risks. One of the saddest regrets people express on their deathbed is this: I wish I'd lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. How many dreams have you buried? Because you were afraid of judgment, afraid of failure, afraid of being seen trying. But when you reflect on death, another fear emerges. The fear of not trying. So start the book. Launch the business. Paint, speak, dance, sing whatever burns inside you, because death is coming. And you don't want to meet it with your masterpiece still locked in your chest. 6. Find presence in the mundane. Memento mori helps you find beauty in the boring. That quiet morning walk, that hug from a friend, that last sip of coffee, all of it is fleeting. And that's what makes it sacred. When you remember your days are numbered, every moment becomes a gift. You stop waiting for some perfect someday. You start showing up. Today. Fully, gratefully, reverently. Because this ordinary moment is extraordinary once you realize it might be the last. 7. Accept the uncontrollable. Death is the ultimate reminder that control is an illusion. You can't control when you'll die. You can't control how others live. You can't control the chaos of the world, but you can control your attitude, your actions, your effort, your response. That's what the Stoics taught. Memento mori brings you back to what's real. It helps you release your grip on what you can't command and double down on what you can. It's not just about dying well. It's about living well until then. The gift of mortality. Ironically, the reflection on death isn't about death. It's about life. It's about living so fully, so honestly, so courageously, that when death does come, it finds you ready. Not because you crossed off every item on a bucket list, but because you showed up day after day with presence and purpose. When you live like that, death loses its sting. It doesn't scare you. It inspires you, because it reminds you of what's at stake. Because it makes you brave enough to let go of the trivial. Because it dares you to live like your time is not unlimited. Because it's not a daily practice. If you want to integrate memento mori into your life, try this. Write it down. Keep a small note somewhere visible that says, remember, you will die. Not to alarm you, but to awaken you. Reflect weekly. Ask yourself, if I died today, what would I regret? Then act accordingly. Celebrate more. When you remember, life is fleeting, you learn to cherish it. Laugh louder. Hug longer. Say yes to joy. Live by your values. When you die, all that's left is how you lived. Make sure your actions reflect what you truly stand for. Final words. Memento mori is not about fear. It's about freedom. It strips away illusion. It sharpens clarity. It teaches you to live with depth, not delay. So the next time you hesitate, when you feel stuck, scared, or small, pause, breathe, And remember, you could leave life right. Now let that shape how you live today. Because today is all you ever really have. Thanks for watching, fellow seekers of strength and clarity. As we've explored together, these 7 Stoic principles aren't just ancient ideas. They're living tools for a modern, chaotic world. Recognize the power of your perception. Practice mindful detachment. Embrace change with grace. Choose self-discipline over impulse. Focus on what you can control. Reflect on mortality to live more fully. And above all, pursue wisdom every single day. In a world that constantly pulls us outward, Stoicism pulls us inward toward calm, toward courage, toward a life that's fully ours. So if you're tired of being tossed around by every setback, every opinion, and every fear, these principles offer a different path, one of peace, power, and presence. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to Thought Haven. Join our growing community of thinkers, doers, and everyday philosophers. Until next time, live deliberately and live well.